Okay, so we have now done our base ground and our pebbles. So now if you just go to our green channel, and I'm just going to paint to see to have some better settings. So I want to set the strength quite a bit lower. See, a bit lower more, something like this. Okay, and it might look very green right now, the grass, but once we are lit, it will be a lot less, and we actually want this. And of course, if it ends up being too green, we can literally just change it, so that shouldn't be a problem. Let's set the flow slightly lower to 0.5, looks fine. Okay, so let's get started. So in the places where you want to have the actual grass, so if you just go over here, like this type of grass that you see over here or here, there you want to paint the grass layer, because if we just place grass on these parts, it will not blend with the terrain well, and that will just end up looking very ugly. Please remember, green is higher than red, so it will actually go over our rocks if you don't be careful. But yeah, just do small splotches. Basically, don't have full grass fields, but more like small splotches that there is still some color variation in between them, to wherever you want to grass. It might look strange, but don't worry, it will all make sense when we start placing the foliage. And once we start placing foliage, we can also just change it if it still looks wrong. So I'm just doing this fairly detailed within our close environment, and as soon as we get to the outer lines, I will just do this a bit rougher. So over here I want to make some sort of a path, so I just want to, I actually want to paint this completely with then. So just paint this. There we go. And around here I just want some splotches over here. And over here I want to just make it follow the pebbles down. And just do it. I'm just doing this a bit on feeling, I would say. To have out here, and we will later on place gravels around the buildings and everything to match up everything a bit better. Go. Some more spots over there. Let's make our radius a bit bigger, so that we will have, so that the outer sides will go a bit quicker, because on the outsides we won't be placing a lot of grass anyway, or if we do, you won't really be able to see them because the alpha will be too far away to call in. We can set the settings if we want very high, but that would be a bit too much for to do for my computer while recording, so then everything will be a bit too slow if I really boost everything up to the max. But once we make our beauty shots, so the final shots of our environment, I will boost everything up to max just for a little while, just so I can make the screenshots. And those will probably also be the screenshots that you saw in the examples, or in the online, or in the folders, wherever you found this tutorial course. So they are all so that is the actual end result. It's not edited or anything. So splotches, that looks nice. Not really, but it will do the job. Now if we go to blue, set our radius lower and our strength slightly higher, because I want to have gravel pretty much all the way around my fixture over here. Like this. Because there used to be a time, I believe, or I want to make it look like there used to be a time where there were paths here and stuff like that, and that people used it. I just pressed G to get rid of my grid and all my selection stuff and everything, just to make things easier. And these paths, I just want to make them move outside of the map, something like this. There we go. Also over here, I just want to around this building, and then here we can sort of have it fade off. And just move it around here. Here we go. And as I said before, in here I wanted to also make a path that just kind of goes in there. We can just also paint out just by pressing this swap button. So I will do that actually later on to mask out some parts again to make it look like the parts have faded away, because right now they are a bit strong. So over here I would want to have it fade away fairly quickly. Okay, so now let's swap them out. Let's set the strength lower. And let's just start by making everything a bit more transparent, a bit more splotchy. Which will work better for our foliage placement. Like over here. This one I want to have fairly strong now I think about it. And then this one over here, this part I just want to have almost completely broken. Okay, seems to work. So once we start fading out, it also starts to look a bit better. But everything will look a bit strong, but that's just because we are in unlit mode. I just want to fade this out. And I want to just actually guide the path a bit more over here. To make it feel like there's something going in there. So let's go to our perspective. Camera 1, okay, that looks good. Camera 2 looks good too for now. And camera 3 looks also fine. Now with all that done, there is one, I think one more thing we need to do for this volume. That is, we want to set up all our foliage painting ready to be painted into volume 2. So, if we just pick a blank spot like over here, let's start by setting up our foliage painting. So for that, what we want to do is actually close our material. Yeah, now that needs to reload. Over here we have the foliage tab. Now in the foliage tab you can pretty much paint foliage or other objects on top of static objects. So it's also sort of like an object painter. And for that I want to go into our foliage folder over here. And I want to select static mesh. And I want to pick, actually I think I need to be, let me see, okay, yeah, so I don't need to be that careful with that. Okay, so in static mesh, in the main foliage folder, I just want to pick these things. I don't want to pick the leaves. The leaves I want to place later on myself. I want to pick the grass and all the flowers. So all these parts over here I just want to click, and I want to drag it into modes, into foliage type. Now I want to go to content browser and I want to do the same with these 4 trees. Hill tree. Okay, yeah, so hill tree works. I didn't see any leaves, but it probably needed to reload. So these 4 trees I also want to drag in here into foliage type. And those will actually be the most important ones. So let's start. First of all, I want to just deactivate everything. Just press deactivate so that it won't paint on anything. And for my second plane, let's go out of foliage mode because else we cannot select everything. I want to call this floor_big. Here we go, and let's see where it is now. And I just want to hide this because else it tends to sometimes paint on the floor below. We don't want that. So in here, let's start by setting up our trees. So if we just activate our trees, this will be for a fairly broad scale to activate. So now if you paint, you can see it paints like 100 trees in one area, which is not what you want. So I want to select all the trees like this. You can multi-edit values. So for scale, I want to set this to 0.8 and let's say 1.2. These are just purely random, just to have like an idea. Random pinch angle, I want to set to 5. Don't even know if that will have an impact, but we will see. And the height we can leave because we already have the scale. And I want to set the instance settings on movable. Make sure cast shadows is on. Cast dynamic shadows is on. We can turn off cast static shadows because we won't have a light maps in this scene. And now if we paint, make sure to set the paint intensity lower to 0.11. Still too much. 0.05. Getting there. So the trees, well, it's hard to see now. If you just go to the top and let's set the density per kilometer, I think, Q, units basically. Let's set this from 100 to 50, which will also lower down. Set this to 100 to 30. Okay, that's getting there. Now if we just like paint a stroke and have a look at the scale differences in our trees. So the scale differences aren't that much yet. So I want to set the minimum size to 0.5. Let's paint again. Okay, getting there. So now we have some really big ones. Let's set the max to 1.1. Yes, so that works. As you can see now you have different scales and also different rotations, I believe.